Your mind is just the same as a garden full of saplings, trees, and also weeds. Heroes, even though they're more than mortals, are not yet gods. A hero has to fight, but for Atlas, who is a titan, closest to the gods, it is very easy. His mental garden is straightened. Wintertime comes for everybody, but there are ways to navigate it. Knowing others is intelligent. Knowing yourself is enlightened. Conquering others takes force. Conquering yourself is true strength. Knowing what is enough is wealth. Forging ahead shows inner resolve. Hold your ground and you will last long. Die without perishing and your life will endure. Subscribe and turn on notifications. So today's lecture, we are going to be talking about the mental garden. What do I mean by the mental garden? Your mind is just the same as a garden full of saplings, trees, and also weeds. The weeds are those negative thoughts that come into your daily life that mess up with all of your activities, and then all the flowers and the trees are what make your life beautiful and help it bloom. So first, we are going to start with an ancient myth about Hercules and the Garden of the Hesperides, the golden apples of Hera. So I'm going to first follow with the book, and then I'm going to elaborate a little bit, give a little translation on how these heroes and gods kind of translate into the modern era, just to make it more tangible. The 11th labor was to fetch fruit from the golden apple tree, Mother Earth's wedding gift to Hera, which she had been so delighted that she planted it in her own divine garden. The garden lay on the slopes of Mount Atlas, where the panting chariot horses of the sun complete their journey, and where Atlas's sheep and cattle, 1,000 herds of each, wander over their undisputed pastures. When Hera found one day that Atlas's daughters, the Hesperides, to whom she had entrusted the tree, were pilfering the apples, she set the ever-watchful dragon Latin to coil around the tree as its guardian. Heracles, not knowing in what direction the garden of the Hesperides lay, marched through Illyria to the river Po, the home of the oracular sea god Nereus. So this god Nereus is, how do I say this? He is a shapeshifter that doesn't allow people to lay hands on him real quickly, because the knowledge that he holds is very sacred. In this way, it is a representation of kind of how we wrestle with certain thoughts that we don't want to look at, certain images or forms that we don't like to take into consideration, like labels that make us feel offended and things like this. But for a hero, it is a matter of life and death. So it is necessary. You have to wrestle with this god in order to find the shape that he's in, that is going to help you fulfill your task. So let's continue. He seized the hoary old sea god, and clinging to him despite his many protean changes, forced him to prophesy how the golden apples could be won. Some say, however, that Heracles went to Prometheus for this information. So right now we're just going to work with the myth where he went to Nereus. Let's not get complicated. Nereus had advised Heracles not to pluck the apples himself, but to employ Atlas as his agent, meanwhile relieving him of his fantastic burden. Therefore, on arriving at the garden of the Hesperides, he asked Atlas to do him this favor. Atlas would have undertaken almost any task for the sake of an hour's respite. So as you know, Atlas was holding the entire planet, so he definitely wanted that respite. But he feared Ladon, whom Heracles thereupon killed with an arrow shot over the garden wall. Heracles now bent his back to receive the weight of the celestial globe, and Atlas walked away, returning presently with 3 apples plucked by his daughters. Atlas's daughters were the ones that took care of the garden. He found a sense of freedom delicious. I will take these apples to Eurystheus myself without fail, he said. Eurystheus is the one who sent, the king that sent Heracles on his labors. If you hold up the heavens for a few months longer, Heracles pretended to agree. But having been warned by Nereus not to accept any such offer, begged Atlas to support the globe for only 1 moment more. While he put a pat on his head, Atlas, easily deceived, laid the apples on the ground and resumed his burden, whereupon Heracles picked them up and went away with an ironical farewell. After some months, Heracles brought the apples to Eurystheus, who handed them back to him. He then gave them to Athene, and she returned them to the nymphs, since it was unlawful that Hera's property should pass from their hands. Feeling thirsty after this labor, Heracles stamped his foot and made a stream of water gush out, which later saved the lives of the Argonauts when they were cast up high and dry on the Libyan desert. Meanwhile, Hera, weeping for Ladon, set his image among the stars as the constellation of the serpent. When Nereus advised Hercules to choose Atlas to take care of his task, it was because he knew one thing that not many people know, and it is that heroes, even though they're more than mortals, are not yet gods. So when they went to the apples for retrieval, mortals usually perish in that journey because the knowledge that is within those apples they're not capable of taking it into their mind. The mental capacity is not big enough. A hero has to fight. He has to go through many ordeals just to get 1, 2, at most 3. But for Atlas, who is a titan, closest to the gods, it is very easy. He can just walk into the garden because he is used to those things, because he's open, because his mind is empty. His mental garden is straightened. So he went in easily, got the apples, and then gave them to Hercules, which was a really good advice from Nereus. That's kind of how it's translated. And then the apples are returned because they know something that not many people do, and it's that accumulating knowledge in your mind is not very helpful. Because then you will be bringing it into every single situation in your life, and it's going to weigh down on you, and it's going to make your actions slower, and you're not going to have the same mental focus as if you just pick them for the right moment. Like a toolbox. If you don't need a hammer, you're not going to just pick up the hammer and carry it everywhere in your daily life. That's not how it works. So now, moving on, I wanted to talk about the Zen Garden. This is a very cool topic. I really like it because this is about creating a place where it's kind of like a respite from everyday life, not so much noise. It's going to be very quiet. And it doesn't necessarily need to be plants. But in this case, we're going to talk about some of the very special plants that planet Earth offers, which give us many, many lessons about how this Zen garden can be built to give you peace of mind. And for that, I'm going to pick some excerpts from this book, which is a really good book. If you want to delve deeper into it, it's going to be down in the description. All my materials are going to be down in the description, so you can, if you want to go into more depth, you can just read them. So, in Shintoism, this is Japan's religion, they were allowed to comprehend spiritual notions through plants and through certain vessels. These vessels could be items. Usually they were receptacles of nature that were allowed to for the gods to come in and to give this peace of mind to people and help them navigate the realm of the mind, the garden itself. So one of the sacred plants is the bamboo shoot. I don't know if many of you know, but the bamboo shoot is the fastest growing plant in the world. It has exceptional growth. It grows 40 centimeters per day. It's usually how much it grows. What does the bamboo teach us? This is an ability that is acquired through a lot of meditation. It's the ability of vision. When you look at the bamboo doesn't sprout for 2 weeks. While the other plants are growing, the bamboo stays underground. It just focuses on getting the nutrients. And then it pops up one day after 2 weeks and then just grows and grows and then absolutely outgrows everything in its path. This is something that I like to tell people about the importance of preparation. It is a very good concept to have in that mental garden of yours, that it doesn't matter if you just need a little bit more time than others. All that preparation is going to make you shoot up in unbelievable ways that nobody could have ever thought you could. This is one of my favorite plants, and based on what they talk about in this book, it's one of my favorites. The next one is the plum tree. This one is also very interesting because not many people know that the plum tree's flowers bloom in winter. While everything else is dead, the plum tree's flowers sprout in the middle of all this snow and give out this amazing fragrance. So I want to give you one of these quotes first about this book before I keep talking about the plum tree. The first step in wisdom consists in realizing that the importance is not at the end of the road, not even the road itself, but what is relevant is the person that we become while we're traversing it. While the plum tree is in the middle of winter and it decides to sprout, all that preparation that I talk about in the bamboo shoot occurs. It doesn't happen when people are watching. You can't see the results immediately. But then all of a sudden, when the people least expect it, it blooms. And that's the beauty of it. Wintertime comes for everybody. It is the place when, things are slow, finances are hard, This stuff happens, but there are ways to navigate it so that you can be prepared for spring and when everything blooms. And that's exactly the lesson that the plum tree gives us. So this is one final quote about this. A heavy load shapes an individual. Marching on without a heavy load doesn't forge strong people. It is these hardships that actually make spring bloom. In the idea of the seed itself is the tree. But one thing that you need to understand is once the tree grows, there is no seed. Everything originates from the negative and then grows into the positive. So don't be afraid of winters, because as you can tell, if you emulate the plum tree, you'll be fine. And then the final one is the pine tree. The pine tree is very interesting. It doesn't grow these long leaves that help it kind of capture the sunlight and everything. It has these small needles. It's kind of like hairy little needles. And when you look at a pine tree, it's very desolate. It's very barren. But what is kind of curious is that when tough times come, and in these high altitude places, when the winter, the water starts drying up, the pine tree has this exceptional ability to just kind of grab all that water and kind of store it. And even though the land is barren, it survives. While the other trees have to shed their leaves, the pine tree doesn't really do that because it helps the ecosystem grow alongside with it. There is a mushroom called the shiitake mushroom. It grows on the pine trees and they have a symbiotic relationship. So the shiitake mushroom itself grows and kind of grabs special nutrients that the pine tree can't get by itself, but the pine tree provides protection. And then both of them help each other. And that is something that people don't understand in this life because they take all the nutrients, in this case wealth, they amass it, and then they don't give back to the environment so that more things can grow alongside with them. And then when times get tough, nobody can help no one, and everything dies. So I'll leave you with that lesson about the pine tree. Those are some places where you can start, understanding these lessons and incorporating them into your mind. And it will make everything more oxygenated, pure. Your actions will be faster, you'll be quicker, your reflexes will be quicker, focus everything that you do. And all of a sudden, you're going to be surrounded by this calm. I also wanted to talk about how to alchemize these negative energies, because it's not about just removing weeds. Because as you know, if you eat certain fruits, then you can use the peel and you can create compost and then you can put it in your garden and then things will grow. Because this waste can be used for something. I'm going to use the example of fear and rage based on things that I have dealt with in my life. Anger is very powerful, but it has to be transmuted into passion. Because anger can destroy all of your world, everything around you, and leaving everything else untouched. It has this ability of consuming the user. But passion doesn't really do that. It's more like fuel, but it's harnessed. So it becomes an engine. In my case, I used to get very mad when people kind of got in my way because there was something that I wanted, and I felt that when people stopped me, even though they were caring, they didn't really want me to get there. So what did I do? I sat down, started meditating, and thought about it. And I realized that the passion that I had was misdirected. I was using the fire to burn the people that were trying to help me. So I just started talking to them, understanding them. I allowed my anger to calm down. And then I redirected all that passion into the work that I wanted to do instead of at the environment. And that really helped me out. And with fear, something that really people don't know is that it has to be turned into focus. Because fear has this certain ability that it can literally make you focus on absolutely everything that you're afraid at. So if you're afraid of something, you can only think about that thing. I don't know if you've ever had a deadline. I'm pretty sure everybody has in school or in college. All you can think about when you have that deadline is the work itself. Nothing else comes into your mind. You can't think about anything else. But if you're able to harness this focus, can literally become something that you can use to focus on a podcast, focus on a book, focus on a certain assignment that you have. And it is way more useful than just being unconscious and not being aware of that garden and just letting it rule your entire life. I wanted to grab some last excerpts from this, the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. If you're going to keep watching my videos, this is a video that is going to be recurring because it has many, many lessons that apply to many different genres and many topics. So right now I'm just going to focus on this, but there's a lot of wisdom here. So to start it off, based on the accurate use of the exercises I just gave you about sitting down and meditating and transmuting fear and anger, you're going to start seeing certain things happening in your environment. So first, let's start with this quote. Knowing others is intelligent. Knowing yourself is enlightened. Conquering others takes force. Conquering yourself is true strength. Knowing what is enough is wealth. Forging ahead shows inner resolve. Hold your ground and you will last long. Die without perishing and your life will endure. When masters cultivate the garden to a certain extent, one of the things that happens is that you realize that nothing bothers you. Because everything that you do involves yourself. So you carry your garden with you to any place on earth, anywhere that you're at. So you're just going to have peace everywhere. So one sign of the true master is that they die without perishing, like the book says. And what does that mean? It means that everything that you considered yourself, all those thoughts that came in that you before you just let them roam loose, you grab them, you cull them, and then you decide which ones you want to keep. And then everything else is removed. But to some people externally, it might look like you literally died because they knew you from all those times when you were carrying those things. So then that self dies, and then your actual you is born. That's one of the signs. Next quote. Without going out the door, know the world. Without peeping through the window, see heaven's Tao. Tao is a way for them of saying the way, your own individual divine path. The further you travel, the less you know. This is why the sage knows without budging, identifies without looking, does without trying. Once your garden is completely full of what you want, like I said, all your focus is going to be on everything that you want to do. So based on that focus, everything else becomes secondary and it doesn't even budge. It doesn't even move you because you're so rooted in your own garden that the possibility of you reaching your higher self is not even a possibility anymore. It is inevitable. But that has to be cultivated. Going back to the terms of godhood, just like Atlas did when going into the garden to retrieve the golden apples, one of the things that starts happening when you reach mastery level is this. You have heard of people good at holding on to life, walking over land they don't avoid, rhinos and tigers. In battles, they don't arm themselves. The rhino's horns find nothing to gore. The tiger's claws find nothing to flay. Weapons find nothing to pierce. Why is this? They have no mortal spot. What happens here is that once you die before perishing, you're going to realize that everything that you were accumulating was part of your ego, this false self. Slowly, you're going to get rid of these weeds, you're going to drop these thoughts, and you're going to realize that all those insults that before made you so mad don't even make you mad anymore. Why? Because they weren't you. You were just accumulating stuff, and you got mad when people insulted your stuff, but it wasn't you. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that they make. But as soon as that is clean, all this calm is going to rush into you. You're going to become godlike. Godlike. When Tao harmonizes the world, demons lose their power. Not that demons lose their power, but their power does not harm people. Not that their power does not harm people, but the sage does not harm people. If neither does harm, then Te flows and returns. It's about being this state of flow, and the fact that no negative energies can attack you is also one of the subtle signs that you're doing a good job and that the practices are working. It's like I said, this river where you flow through, this life, has many little rocks and crevices and rapids that can kind of pull you down and you're going to feel like the world is ending. But for the person that flows, they just go right through because they have nothing holding them down. There's no weight. So they just float. And then finally, this is the last quote that I'm going to leave you with. Rivers and seas can rule the 100 valleys because they are good at lying low. They are lords of the valleys. Therefore, those who would be above must speak as if they are below. Those who would lead must speak as if they are behind. In this way, the sage dwells above and the people are not burdened, dwells in front and they are not hindered. Therefore, the whole world is delighted and unwearied. Since the sage does not contend, no one can contend with the sage. I hope that in these lessons and in these myths, and with my accurate translation, you are able to get some gems out of this. Because this is your chance to grab one of the golden apples. You can let it go if you don't feel comfortable, or you can step onto the hero path and try your chances. Because if you walk the hero path, it is inevitable that you will reach godhood.